Rev up your engines!
Dan Pasorsa, Scotty, do you drink beer? Well, I do on occasion. I'm not a big beer drinker, although I had some great beer when I was in Rhode Island. I believe it was called 12 Guns. It was named after a Revolutionary War ship that was made in Rhode Island. It had 12 cannons on it. It was a draft beer, and I have to say it was excellent. My grandson came from Tennessee, and he's not a beer drinker, and he liked it. It was an excellent draft beer. I've had Mirror Pond Ale in the state of Washington. That was excellent, but I'm not really a beer drinker. I like more a little rum, and I like various types of wine. My father was a wine connoisseur. He had a wine cellar. And I like wine if it's a good wine. I want cheap wine, yeah, but a good wine's got a nice taste, and you're not going to get totally looped having a couple glasses of wine. Plus, they claim the tannins are good for you, but I don't know. Anybody that says drinking is good for you, you kind of, who's doing this study, you know? Alex says, I got paint chipping off a brand new 22 4Runner. Anybody's having a problem? Toyota's fighting, saying it's normal. Yeah, they're doing that with melting stuff too, yes. And I do see it on customers' cars. And I have made videos on it. I think everyone should complain to Toyota, complain to the federal government. If they get enough people complaining, then they launch an investigation and they'll have to fix it. And they say it's normal. Paint is not supposed to chip. That is not normal. The problem is part Toyota, part the government. The government says, oh, we don't want you making cars using oil-based paint. It pollutes the atmosphere and blah, 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 right? So they're using water-based paints. And guess what happens with water-based paints? They chip off more. The reason we had oil-based paints was because they stick on and they last longer, especially in the sun. We had watercolor paints when we were kids. The stuff fades away, right? They're spraying your car with basically watercolor paints, new type and everything. But still, it does chip because it is not as good. They're not admitting it. They don't want to have to repaint all those cars, but they are in the wrong. And there's a lot of them. So complain to the government. If hundreds of thousands of people complain, guess what? The squeaky wheel gets the grease. And in that case, they say they're not going to do anything about it. Don't go to the dealers. They don't give a rat's behind about that stuff. They're just selling the cars. Contact Toyota in Japan. Get enough people contacting them in Japan, they'll normally do something about it. The Japanese care about their image. The American guys, they're just salesmen. Hey, we're selling cars. Who cares? Sell them, make money. Oh, no, those are normal. We're not fixing them for free. You see that all the time. I see it every day from people bringing me cars. And it doesn't matter who is selling. It doesn't matter if they're Toyotas, Hondas, Fords, GMs, Chryslers, whatever. They all say the same crap because they're just people that have a dealership and they're selling the cars. They don't make them. They don't work for the company. They are their own business. Dart says, I got 2018 Audi A3 plug-in hybrid, $23,000. I'm thinking about buying it. Currently, I don't have a vehicle and I work from home. No, I would never buy an Audi hybrid of any sort. Audi is a high-tech company. Expensive stuff. Only rich people should buy them. Hybrids can have problems. Now, it doesn't have that many miles. It shouldn't break for a while. The regular Audis, when they break, cost a fortune to fix, all right? These are regular Audis. Add in hybrid with another level of technology, no one's going to be able to fix those things except at the dealer, and they're going to run you through the washing machine. That's how Audi dealers are. I mean, you go in there, the people are wearing three-piece suits. I mean, it's all a game to get your money out of your pocket. I know guys that worked at those places, and guess what? When you leave, if you have a car and you're paying them, they're laughing at the bar. Oh, man, we got $5,000 out of that guy. He didn't know anything about cars. They're laughing all the way to the bank. Don't buy an Audi, let me tell you. Any German luxury car, unless you got more money and you know what to do with, stay away from them. Dakota says, 2012 Toyota Camry LE on Carvana. I bought it for $18,000 with 25,000 miles. Is it a deal? As long as it really only had 25,000 miles on it. It is, 11 years old, and you paid $18,000, but price of brand new one, and 25,000 miles is nothing on a Camry. Just make sure that's real mileage. You have receipts for everything. And also that it hasn't been in a wreck. Let's say it was totaled in a wreck, and then somebody fixed it, even with 25,000 miles, it's not worth $18K. They're basically worthless once they've been totaled by an insurance company and retitled. So look at the title. Make sure it doesn't say salvage title, rebuild title, that it's a clean title. Lucky Lenses says, Scotty, my wife's looking to get a Chevy Spark. Would it be a decent little car for her? A lot of people hate those things, but I actually rented one last year just to see what it was like. But it got phenomenal gas mileage and it ran perfectly fine going to the airport and back. You know, I wouldn't rent one, let's say, if I'm flying to Denver and then I'm driving to the Grand Canyon or something. No, it's not comfortable enough for me. Do a road test first. Because if she doesn't like the way it rides, don't buy it. She doesn't mind a little crappy ride and she wants good gas mileage. Realize that they're really Daewoo's. They're Korean cars. And they're okay. They're not terrible and they're dirt cheap. Especially if you're buying a used one, you can get the used ones dirt cheap. And if you don't mind the way they ride, they can last for quite some time. Jose Chavez says, Scotty, is it worth putting a replacing transmission on 08 Acura RTX? Well, the RTXs are well-made vehicles. If the transmission went out, I'm assuming it has really high mileage. It is if you get a good remanufactured transmission. There are guys out there that the only thing they do is rebuild Honda automatic transmissions. The Acura is the same company, Honda. And if you can find a place that rebuilds just the Honda and the Acura transmissions, you can get one from them with a good guarantee, go ahead and do it. Those guys know what they're doing. But, and listen to me here, do not get in your car, drive to a local transmission shop, one of those chain stores, and say, can you rebuild it? Odds are it won't be rebuilt correctly because most of those places don't know what the heck they're doing. I read a thing the other day, 33% of the trannies they rebuild are not fixed correctly the first time. Who wants to deal with that crap? But there are pros out there that only do that. In the United States, they send you one, you put that in, you send yours back to them, and they rebuild it for somebody else. That's the only way I'd advise doing it. Yon says, Scotty, I'm thinking about buying an old used 94 Lexus IS 400. Has 150K. What do you think? Well, I wouldn't pay much for it because it's a 94. It's old. Those are excellent luxury cars. They're all V8 engines. Those things cost a lot of money to fix when they get old, when they finally break. They can last a really long time. I mean, a really long time. But when they need to be fixed, they cost a small fortune. And realize another thing, with the price of gas being sky high, those things are gas hogs. I had a customer buy one. Oh, it's a Lexus. It'll get good gas mileage. I'll buy it. And she went from a little 4-cylinder Toyota to buying the Lexus 400. She says, it gets horrible gas mileage. I said, why didn't you ask me? I would have told you it got horrible gas mileage. If you don't mind a horrible gas mileage, you might ride quite some time. But being that old, getting bad gas mileage, don't pay much for one because they're not worth that much money. Gas is getting more and more expensive as time goes on. That's only going to be true. And being an old luxury car, when things do break, it can cost a fortune. Unless you get it super cheap, I'd pass. Next question. My Camry 2013 SE was assembled in Kentucky. Is that a good thing? Yeah, they usually do a decent job. I mean, I like the Japanese made one, but we had a Camry station wagon that was made in Kentucky, and we bought it with 90,000, and we sold it to somebody with like 150, and it still ran perfectly fine. Now, I do have to say, it was a little noisier than the Japanese ones. You cornered the suspension, was a little bit noisier. You know, you could tell it wasn't built quite as well as the ones they built in Japan, but it lasted all that time and still went a long time, so decent vehicles. MC says, my car horn works and sounds well in the summer and warmer weather. During the winter, it tends to have a high-pitched scooter sound. Is this normal? No, it's not normal. You need a new horn. The horns wear out. Well, when it's warm, guess what? They vibrate a lot better. When it's cold and they're old and worn out, like, because they're not working right, just go buy another horn. Now, there's a million types of horns you can get. If you like the original sound, go to the Toyota dealer, buy their original horn. It costs more. Or if you don't care, go to an auto parts store and say, what horns do you have? And I want to hear them. And they can hook them up to batteries and hear all the noises and pick the one that you like. They're simple. They're just 12-volt DC horns. Positive, negative. That's it. You can pick whatever noise you want. Daniel gets us. What are codes that can't be cleared? Permanent codes. All right. Any code can eventually be cleared. But I know what you're talking about. You work on a car, you erase codes that says permanent codes. You got a real permanent code. That means that that system is flat out broken. As you reset it, it's still there because it hasn't been fixed. If you fix everything on a car and then reset it and drive it, it won't have any permanent codes left. But you gotta fix it first. And then you have to have a guy like me reset it. You get a cheapy scan tool and it says reset, yes, yes. Well, it won't reset permanent codes anyways. It's not good enough scan tool. My big $7,000 one resets them. But if you think you fixed your car, try this. Take the battery terminals off for like 10 minutes. Off the battery, right? Turn on the headlights. Now the headlights won't come on, but that will drain any residual power in any capacitors and stuff in your computer system. Then put the cables back on. And if you fix the problem, you might find that the permanent code is gone, because that sets the computer back to its original factory setting when you do that. You might give that a try. Andrew Molina says, Scotty, is a Mazda 3 hatchback 2022 a good daily car? It probably will be. It's a new car, so I can't predict the future. I don't know. Maybe they're making them like garbage now. But I haven't seen any problems. Realize a few years ago, Mazda got a big sign-in deal with Toyota. They're sharing their technology. So it has actually made Mazda a better car manufacturer. And you're talking about a 2022 brand new Mazda 3. It should be a good daily drive. They're little, they get good gas mileage, and from the past, you go back in the 90s and 80s, Mazdas were junk. The transmissions would blow up all the time. But they're not that way anymore. They're much better than they used to be. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.